Hello, Dr. Niikee here. So I thought I would make this short video today based on questions that, I'm often asked. Given the type of work that I do, I'm often asked about, so what is intuition and, how does that differ from channeling or energy readings? And those sorts of things. And so what I thought I would do is give you an overview of the difference between these types of things. But firstly and foremost, I want you to be aware that everybody is capable of accessing this level of information. It really is just about creating the right conditions to receive. And so I'll start off first talking about intuitive insight. And so we have things called clairs, which I'm sure that you've heard of before. So there's clairvoyance, which is a popular one. So clair means clear. And so clairvoyance means clear seeing. And so this skill is where people can become aware of information that is not within the usual realm of sight. And so maybe it's visions within the mind's eye. Sometimes they can be a little bit more vivid, but often it's almost like on another layer. And so sometimes these visions are received as direct pictures of what needs to be shown or what information needs to be received by whoever's receiving the information. Sometimes it's symbolic, and quite often it will be symbolic, and the information will be shared in a way that is most easily able to be translated by the person receiving it, which is again why a lot of people receive intuitive information in a lot of different ways. So there is really no right or wrong way to do it. The only, I guess, wrong way to do it is not to receive it and to start doubting yourself. And this is where the roadblocks keep coming up. And it's like anything with practice. The more that you allow and the more that you open to it, the more you start to recognize how you can actually work with this other layer of information. So we've got clairvoyance. There's also clairsentience, which is feeling. And so that's, being able to feel, whether things are right for you or not. Some people are able to feel in different parts of the body based on information they're receiving for somebody else. So they're sharing that information with that person about what's happening within that other person. Sometimes that can be felt in that way as well. So we've got clairvoyance, clairsentience, there's claircognizance. And so this is where you just know things and you don't know how you know them. You've never learned them before, but you just know things. And because everything is information and everything exists within energy fields, which I'm going to make another video and talk about energy fields a little bit more, it's like all the information is there. And so it's really just tuning your frequency to be able to receive the information, but then also to translate that information and to trust that information as well, so you can actually use the information. And so the fourth type of clair, which is also quite common, is clairaudence. And so this is clear hearing. And so this is where we might receive information that is in the form of words or sometimes songs, if that, helps to be a symbolic way to understand something a little more deeply. And, the way that you start to recognize that you're receiving information outside of your own mind is because it's a different quality of information. Generally speaking, from my own experience, the mind chatter sounds different to inner wisdom awareness, so to speak. And so, these are the four clairs. And so I then wanted to, what will help to understand this even more deeply is there's different layers of receiving of information as well. And so we have firstly what's called implicit knowledge. And so Carolyn Mace actually talks about these different levels. And so the implicit knowledge, this is where we've been doing something for so long that we don't have to really think about it before we can automatically know answers to things. So, you know, an example might be a car mechanic who, without even looking at the engine, just hears the engine and knows what's wrong with it. You know, it might be somebody who is skilled, you know, in a particular job for a long period of time, and then they can know things more deeply than, you know, someone who's fairly new and has to, like, you know, check out what they remember and all of those sorts of things. So this implicit knowledge, it is still a form of intuition because people are trusting what they do know in that way. But it's still kind of happening through that thinking mind because it's something that has been imprinted during a current timeline awareness. And so then as we expand a little bit further, we get to what's called communion intuition. And this is where there is where we start to recognize that there's something more than our usual, or what we've been born into believing, level of awareness of reality. And, you know, so we might start to read cards or go to card readers, go to psychics, and, you know, start to notice the symbolism even within our own lives to start to derive deeper meaning. Because the world is always communing with us. The universe is communing with us. Energy communes with us by, you know, when we're present. That's what's so powerful about, you know, meditation practices and, you know, mindfulness and things like that, is because when we're in the present moment, we're present to be able to pick up on these signs and signals that are around us all the time that are reflecting back to us our own energetics. And it does this to help us to be able to create change within our lives. But, you know, a lot of the time we're so caught up in the busy that we completely miss all the signs and signals. And so this middle part of intuition, so this kind of middle range intuitive awareness, is when we start to recognize that this is real. There is actually energy that's working in and around us to be able to support our evolution. And so then the next layer is visionary intuition. And so this is where people are able to surrender into receiving information and trusting that information, acting on that information. And so, you know, all of the layers, you know, quite often we can fluctuate in and out of those layers, you know, depending on situation and circumstance. But, you know, that just gives you an idea of not all of the ways, but of quite a broad variation there of intuition and intuitive insight. You know, other things, channeling. So I won't leave you too much longer on here. So channeling, I just wanted to finish off with channeling because it seems to be, you know, quite a popularized term now, and it's wonderful that people are actually connecting in with that level of awareness. And so what is generally meant by channeling is we know that we have our physicality, and then we also have a higher self, which is our spirit. And our spirit is happening at a higher frequency. And this higher frequency actually connects to higher frequency information. Remember, I was talking about how everything exists as information in the unified field, or in the quantum field, but I'll talk about that a little bit more. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. So what happens is when we channel is we create the right environment for us to come into alignment with ourself. So we come into alignment, body, mind, spirit, and then once we're in alignment, we open up to higher frequency information. You know, so quite often that can be received in any of the other ways that I said before, on any of those layers. And, you know, with practice and trust, it just becomes an expressing. And so without having to run it through the thinking mind, you trust enough on a level and you can bring your frequency to a level enough to be able to receive that higher frequency information. And then it just becomes a direct translation And so, you know, when people are channeling, they're more or less sharing wisdom from whichever layer, you know, that wisdom has been received. Anyway, I hope that you found this useful. If you are interested in learning more on any of that, I do have a number of other little courses. So do reach out if you want to chat or you have any other questions. Yeah, I'm sending you all my love. Mwah! Bye.